So let's go through this whole thing and let's try to apply some Papa magic to it. Right. So this is Mr. Bruno. He's involved with the little tiff with Dapreefamous. I've never heard of this guy before. No offense to him. So let's get to the root. Let's also make sure it's not loud.
I put the new forges on the G. I trap until the bloody bottoms is underneath. Cause all my homies got it out the street.
So first and foremost, YouTube is a bitch, so let's hope they don't fucking mute me. Cause like I don't know if that's like a registered song. Who knows? We'll find out. I'll probably get muted for that. Whatever. Anyway, so yeah, this is pretty basic. It's UFC is the only sport I'm watching, and it's because this UFC guy they all like Donald Trump. That's cool, man. I don't care if they like Donald Trump. It literally means nothing to me. But I will say that as like a general talking point, conservatives are always, hey, they're always bitching about people like Colin Kaepernick, you know, making political statements in sports, right? They'll say like, oh, you're a sportsman. You shouldn't be able to have a say in politics. Oh, don't do it. And like, here we are. Hey, you're a sportsman. You shouldn't be able to, you know, express your political opinion. You should be able to express your political opinion or protest on whatever platform that you have. So that's just my perspective. So now that doesn't mean that this is something that this young man holds dear to, but I'm just saying. So that's where I would come from. It's like, come on, like, why is it okay when it comes to Trump to be supported in sports, but when it comes to like, you know, any other political ideology, it's all of a sudden it's like, keep it out of sports, guys. You know, this is a little bit of cognitive dissonance from conservatives in general, because I guarantee you Fox didn't pull a story and it's like, we really need to keep this out of sports. Yeah, so yeah. So let's see. So then I guess Mr. Bruno said, so you're just racist or whatever. Even the people I look up to hate me. This one hurt my heart, Mr. Bruno. That's sad. I would say, I mean, like, someone's telling me that this is like a satirical account. You know, I honestly wouldn't doubt it's satire. But I also very highly doubt that, like, just because he's making jokes about Trump doesn't mean that he doesn't support Trump. Like, he's being exaggeratory and like a little goofy and fun. That's cool. Now, anyway, I don't think that I don't think that this was a correct assignment. I don't think he's racist. I understand where Mr. Bruno's coming from, but I don't think that this kid's racist. That's a little exaggeratory. Reply to Mr. I was a big fan of his content. Heartbreak. That's sad. It's so sad. It's so sad when you have like a couple content creators who are like, you know, pretty benign. They're not like, you know, hateful guys, and they don't perpetuate hate per se. You know, then it's like it's like, oh, I'm disappointed in Mr. Bruno. It's so sad.
Taps out.
So then he says, Mr. Bruno thinks it's okay to leave a hate comment on my post. I can't even get a sorry from him. He's such a good role model for TikTok. Oh, this is like a little much. Now he's playing victim here. It's a little silly. It's a little too much, yo. Because like Mr. Bruno left a comment on a video expressing his opinion, whether it was right or wrong, and I disagree with it. And then now he's like, "Hey guys, you're such a good role model, Mr. Bruno. Being a bad guy and not apologizing." It's like, shut the fuck up. Like, how many content creators fuck up every day and they don't apologize and nobody gives them shit for it? All of a sudden, because Mr. Bruno's like a nice guy, he's expected to do everything right all the time. And, like, that's an unrealistic expectation, to be honest with you. It's very silly. That's just silly. And this is just him, I don't think it's relevant. I think he's just being antagonistic at this point. But that's rather relevant.
So this guy...
So here's Mr. Bruno's video on it.
Alright, let me explain something. I'm trying to make this quick. So this guy, Dapreefamous, posted a video saying UFC is the only sport I'm watching.
Let's actually restart. So let's actually read what this comment says. You're a messed up person for doing that to Dapreefamous. Let people have an opinion. Don't put other people down just because they have different views. So, like, let's just establish. He said, like, oh, so you're a racist. That's it. That's all he said. And these guys are acting like he fucking took a gun out and just, like, pointed it at the guy. It's like, take it easy with being so, like, intense on everything. It's crazy.
Alright, let me explain something. I'm trying to make this quick. So this guy, Dapreefamous, posted a video saying UFC is the only sport I'm watching because Trump is with a bunch of UFC guys. Now, with what's been going on lately with athletes coming out about supporting equal rights and supporting Black Lives Matter, and then people saying like, oh, leave politics out of sports, I saw that and I was like, the tone that I got was, oh, these guys, these athletes are supporting Trump and they're not supporting Black Lives Matter, so I'm going to watch them. And I was kind of in a bad mood about it, so I was like, oh, you racist or whatever. And then he made a video on it. So while yes, it was a little brash of me, I wasn't just saying it just because he supports Trump. I was saying it in relation to the climate that is surrounding athletes right now with supporting equal rights. And also, to you guys saying that I don't respect someone just because of their political belief, do y'all know that he posted a video where he said if you don't like Trump, then leave? Like,
Oh, nay pogger. Not a bad point, actually, at the end. The only thing that I have an issue with Mr. Bruno in this situation is that, like, I don't think that disliking BLM is synonymous with being, like, racist. I can understand why people wouldn't like Black Lives Matter, because what happens, here's what happens. Let's go through what happens, right? Is that you have Black Lives Matter, and I would say that, like, they're generally good advocates for black rights, right? The only time that you see Black Lives Matter in the media, in the progressive media, let's not even talk about the conservative media, in the progressive media, is any single time that, like, it helps progressive politics, or rather progressive politicians force some bullshit agenda. So the only real reason that we pushed the like George Floyd situation, for instance, was really because we needed to take a shit on Trump because it's election season and we need to make sure we shit on Trump. Right? You don't see progressive news outlets covering Black Lives Matter when there's nothing to gain. They don't really cover them until, like, towards the election cycle, right? Because they don't really give a shit. So what happens is the only time that we cover BLM or issues with, like, Black Americans is right when we're at that point of, like, severe, like emotional impact. So everyone is now riled up. So now you have the people are riled up over the situation. Then you're going to add on to it by spreading awareness for it, and then that's going to cause people to outlash. What the hell am I saying today? Lash out, right? And do things like destroy things like property damage and whatnot. And it's because those individuals feel like they're never getting listened to, and they're not, because again, the fucking progressive media like CNN doesn't give a shit about black issues until they can use it and they can weaponize it. So then you have the conservative responses like, oh, look, this movement's really bad because all you see in the media is the bad stuff that they do. But again, you don't see any of the good stuff, right? So it came out, there's a statistic that was like, oh, only 93%, or rather only 7% of the riots or protests resulted in some kind of violence or rioting, right? Yeah, great. But what about the other years of BLM trying to advocate for rights and getting suppressed by the media, just simply not covering black issues, right? So then it's like, oh, okay, so really only like 1% of, like, you know, shit going on with BLM turns violent. We just don't see like 90% of it because, again, progressive media doesn't give a fuck. And then of course conservative media is gonna take it and they're gonna weaponize it in the reverse, right in a reversal, right? Because conservatives tend to fight against the types of policy changes that BLM wants. And of course, but the right, in which makes you can say that maybe they're racist. But again, now people who are looking at this are like, okay, they're causing violence and destruction. This isn't the right way. Now that's debatable whether what isn't the right way to advocate for change when nobody's listening. But you see how it turns into a lot of people don't like BLM because they don't really like the violence and the rioting and the looting, especially since there's a lot of people who weaponize it just for that. Like, there's a lot of people who just decide to riot and loot just for fun that aren't necessarily like BLM advocates, and they make BLM look bad. And you see how complicated this kind of thing gets. And then not to mention that there's some kind of Marxist theory associated with BLM. I don't know. I don't really give a shit about that per se. But you see how it gets really muddy. And I can understand people who don't really support BLM for that, because I've heard some black people say I don't support BLM. I think it's violent. And like, again, it's just because of poor media representation. So I don't agree with that aspect of people being racist because it's BLM, but otherwise I agree with.
because I'm not sorry.
Go.
I'd like to
Okay, so here we go. We're gonna get Mr. Bruno. We're gonna get Mr. Bruno here. I like to acknowledge that
I did not directly apologize to Dapreefamous in my last video. That's not because I'm not sorry. I am sorry for behaving so brashly and impulsively. I was in a bad mood, but that doesn't give me an excuse. That was not a good way to convey my opinion. I'm sorry for that. It slipped my mind in filming, and part of the reason why is because I already apologized to him. I messaged him about 30 minutes after he posted his
Christ. Hey, bro, I want to reach out and apologize for the way I approached. I do disagree with you, but I've been pretty upset lately, and there are people who are pissed at athletes for standing up for equal rights and saying things like leave politics out of sports, so I was in a bad mood, and when I saw you on TikTok, when that
original
best of me, I apologize. I didn't even mean to act so
video.
brash.
Then I assumed he saw
Yeah, yo, so you post anything, you post saying I didn't apologize, that's classy. If you didn't see this, I completely understand. Mr. Bruno does way too much. This is too much. Jesus Christ, man. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but man, like, you give too much of a fuck, you know? Mr. Bruno's too nice of a guy. Like, I mean, listen, I would have been like, hey, sorry for calling you racist, but everything else is right. Fuck you. That's what I would have said to the guy.
it and was ignoring
I wouldn't have DM'd him. I don't give a shit.
it, but then acknowledged, okay, maybe he didn't see it. If he didn't see it, that's fine. If he did see it, that's a weird look. Since you said this.
Oh, if you see, that's fine. Okay.
Also, on respecting opposing opinions, I do my best to respect opinions that are not mine. Some of my closest friends are on opposite ends of the political spectrum from me. They're still my friends. I have so much respect for them. I didn't call Dupree racist just for being a Trump supporter. I don't think Trump supporters are inherently racist. But Dupree likes to gas the fuck out of athletes
Let's see.
like Colby Covington for supporting Trump, but then put down athletes like LeBron James for speaking their minds about equal rights and Black Lives Matter, calling him a spineless coward, and being disappointed he got Father of the Year award, which doesn't seem like it's because of what he thinks of his parenting skills. That's all.
Ah, it's fair. He actually nay-nayed the shit out of him. Very nay-nay poggers. Why do you guys keep saying, by the way, okay, you guys keep saying, hey, Papa, what's a Dupree is 50% Congo. What the fuck? Okay, I've already said that I don't think he's racist. I get what you're saying. But by the way, just because, like, not for nothing, and this, like, speaks to some, like, you guys that don't understand this, I need to explain something to you. Most people, we'll say black people, so I can't even say that because you guys wouldn't understand this. Okay. A lot of migrant black people that, like, aren't originally from America don't like black Americans. Just so you guys know that. Like, a lot of them fucking hate black Americans. I'm just being honest with you. So, like, the fact that this guy might be 50% Congo, it doesn't mean that he's racist inherently. And I've already disagreed that I don't think that he's racist. But, like, you can still be racist towards black people if you're, like, black, because, like people from fucking, like, Haitian people, they get pissed if you call them black. If you say, hey, you're black, they say, no, I'm not. They get fucking angry. That's, like, you guys have to understand that. And, like, if you're somebody in the black community, like, you'll fucking get it a lot more than most of you white kids. Okay, most of you white kids are, well, you white kids don't get it because you see all black people as, like, black people, but, like, there's different cultures of black people and they fucking hate black Americans. I just want you to understand that. They think that they're lazy and entitled pieces of shit. Okay, just saying. You know, so now you guys know for the future. Just so you guys know, you can be very racist, even if you're black, towards other black people. Remember? All right, just keep in mind, guys. You know, being, like, race is a social construct. So, you know, just letting you guys know. A little lesson for you. Yeah, somebody said, like, a lot of African people dislike black people and vice versa. Yeah, it's very something. It's very kooky bananas. My family is from Black Caribbean, and they sometimes talk down on black Americans. What Papa is saying is completely true. I'm black and born in the U.S., but have Caribbean culture. Yeah, see, there you go. Or Caribbean. I don't know how you say it. Yeah, so just letting you guys know. It's crazy, though, because I remember hearing that. I remember my mom used to work for White Castle, and she was, like, a manager there. And there's, like, a lot of, like you call people of color. There's a black and Spanish people work there. A lot, you know, my mom had a lot of black and Spanish friends. I had a lot of black and Spanish friends. And it fucking blew my mind the first time. I don't remember what we're talking about, but I think I referred to somebody in the store as black just to my mom. And she's like, nah, don't do that because she's from Haiti and she doesn't like black people, so don't call her black because she'll get really mad at you. And I was like, oh, what? I don't know what does that mean? I never heard that before. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's nuts. Honestly, it's fucking nuts. Crazy, man. But it's a touchy subject. I understand that, but I want to say thank you so much, guys, to all my Patreons, and a special shout out to my Papa XL Patreons. Without all you guys, I would just be some fat dude screaming into a microphone. So thank you so much, guys. Mwah. I love you all.
I want Papa Gut to pee on my face, but just as a friend. There's nothing weird about that. I want him to pee on my face.